Now back to politics, and whilst the government teases tax cuts as it prepares the autumn statement, there's one row that just will not go away. Suella Braverman continues to be a thorn in the side of Prime Minister Rishi Sunak as he tries to resuscitate, I would say, his Rwanda plan.
Well, the former Home Secretary says she sent at least half a dozen letters to Rishi Sunak warning his migrant deportation scheme would fail and urged him to plan a tougher response. Well, joining us is the Sun columnist Rod Liddle. Rod, help me out here. I thought this was Suella Braverman's plan all along.
I think it's been the government's plan all along, hasn't it? It's been there for a very, very long time now, and it hasn't worked. I mean, the problem with what Suella's saying at the moment is that whatever she might say about the merits of the Rwanda scheme, it has been defeated in the courts too often for it to be a tenable approach to what we need to do with these asylum seekers, unless you first change the law, remove yourself from the European Court of Human Rights, and so on and so on and so on. So I don't blame her for her fury, and I don't blame the right of the Conservative Party for its fury in attacking what Sunak is trying to do. The flaw may be in pursuing the Rwanda case without putting all the checks and balances in place at the moment. And if he does put all those checks and balances in place, if he does withdraw from, if he does change the law to say that Rwanda is actually a really lovely place, and then withdraws from the European Court of Human Rights and all the other stuff, which is necessary, then he has another fight on his hands with the left of the party, which also seems determined to stop him. It's kind of a no-win situation for Sunak, but it serves him right. He dug the hole, and he appears to wish to carry on digging.
Rod, welcome to Talk today. It was lovely to have you on a Monday regularly, my friend. I hope your weekend was good. You just made a point that I think is really pertinent. Rishi Sunak wanted this job. We know a year ago Johnson could have got back and he said to Sunak, you be my deputy, I'll clear up the mess and I'll go. He wanted to be Prime Minister for 2 years and he's now in a position where the right's at him, the left's at him, everybody seems to be at him. Yes, inflation's dropped. We'll talk about tax cuts in just a minute. Answer me this, because you've got far more in your brain than I will ever have. Why doesn't somebody in the damn Tory party or anywhere actually have the foresight, as I've been saying all month, really years? Yes, 500 to Rwanda. It's just, that doesn't even scratch the surface. Why, Rod Liddle, doesn't somebody go, our processing systems are completely defunct. We need to prioritise the 170,000 plus who are stuck waiting for an answer, because surely that would alleviate the problem, wouldn't it?
Of course it is. Of course, you're absolutely right. There's no question about that whatsoever. But the problem is we've had a Conservative Party which has been in power by itself for 8 years. You know, in coalition for another for a total of 13 years, and it's tearing itself apart. This always tends to happen when parties are in power for too long. You remember when Margaret Thatcher was forced out, John Major comes in, and the party deliquesced into just this continual backbiting between the people who John Major called, if you'll excuse my language, the bastards in the cabinet, and everybody else within the party. And you've seen it in Scotland with the Scottish National Party. It's a party which has been in power for too long, has become corrupted by that power, it's become complacent and arrogant, and absolutely devoid of any ideas. And as for Rishi, I don't think he is suitable as a Prime Minister. I think he was a very, very competent Chancellor. I think he's a competent politician, but I don't see any vision there. He seems to me a bit like the person described in a John Betjeman poem. I am a young executive, no cuffs and minor cleaner. I have a slimline briefcase and I use the firm's Cortina. You know, he seems to be like an executive, and I think it's lost. And I think that the tax cuts is an interesting thing. You see, there is a good case for lowering the tax of the middle band. Particularly the middle band, the people who might spend a bit more, get the economy moving a bit faster. But whatever he does, I think he's lost. And I think the appointment of Cameron, I think the appointment of David Cameron, the most staunch Remainer within the Conservative Party, if you forget about Jeremy Hunt, has lost him seats which he must win in order to have any chance of winning an election. Because nobody up here in the North East has any time for Cameron any more than they do for Jeremy Hunt.
And I just want to say, sorry, Rod, and apologies to anybody who was offended by any of the language there. But a lovely bit of poetry after to follow it up with.
Sorry, I'll get into trouble. To be perfectly honest, that is a direct quote from John Major, the then Prime Minister.
Well, there we go. But I'm going to move on now. Rod, your column in The Sun about...
No, Sunday Times. Was this the Sunday Times, was it?
Sunday Times.
Sorry, in the Sunday Times. My apologies. On Rishi abandoning the North. I'm the resident Northerner here. You're talking to us today from Teesside. You are claiming that the Tories are saying to Northerners, we simply don't want you. Can you expand on that?
It's a terribly, terribly flawed policy. I mean, there's no more levelling up. He scrapped HS2, and it looks as if the money's now going to be divided kind of equally around the country, i.e. filling in potholes in the south rather than building rail lines in the north. There's been no more money earmarked for the north, either for west to east transport links across the north of the country or within the big cities, the proper kind of transport links, which you would expect, for example, in London. It's all gone. And to add to that, he's also, I mean, the reason people voted in 2019 for the Conservative Party wasn't because they were suddenly Conservatives. It's true that the blue-collar vote has been moving towards the Conservatives in the last 20 years, and it did so in a rush in 2019. But that's because I think Boris Johnson was up against a lunatic who nobody in the North liked very much, which was Jeremy Corbyn, but also because it was let's get Brexit done. And Brexit still resonates up here. I mean, not so much as it did in 2019, perhaps it's still less than 2016, but it still resonates. And to see David Cameron brought back into the cabinet is a kind of blow to those people who thought that the Conservative Party was committed to what the British public actually decided.
Rod, I have to jump in, buddy. I couldn't agree more. And I read that Sunday Times column, and it's almost as if, and I get it, Nick, I really do. It's almost as if he's gone, right, I'm not holding out much hope here. I'm going to shore up what I know I can do, which is the home counties, and I'm going to abandon everything north of Watford Gap. But everything north of Watford Gap, Rishi Sunak, you idiot, was what got the Conservative Party elected. It was middle England, it was middle class, and it's exactly why I said earlier about those tax cuts. You know, is it business? If I was him, I'd be putting pounds in the pocket of everyday Britons to make them understand that I'm trying to do something good by them. But I don't think it's like that. And I agree with you. I think it's gone, and that's sad.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I remember as we were talking about this. I think was it last week when we were talking about the sacking of Suella Braverman and the move of the Conservative Party away from what seemed to be a fairly radical agenda, which some people would characterise as being on the right. And you put on there immediately afterwards Tobias Ellwood, the Conservative MP, who said the Conservatives will never win when they come from the right. And I was off air at that point, but would have liked to put into him, how about 1979, 1983, 1987, 1992 and 2019? Those are all times when the Conservative Party has appealed to the aspirational working class, the blue-collar working class, with a radical policy, rather than putting before them the kind of wet sop which Theresa May almost lost her entire majority over in 2017.
I agree with you, and I think if you're going to have politicians that do that, they need to be bold, they need to be forthright. And this isn't I'm not criticising Sunak and saying anything that's too untoward, but I agree with you. I think he's probably fiscally quite sensible. I think he'll end up in America working, in the tech industry, but as an innovative and forward-thinking Prime Minister. One final thing, Rod, agree with that article. Nick and I always love having you on. Wednesday's autumn statement, big debate, business cuts, personal cuts. The shadow Chancellor Rachel Reeves, sort of sitting on the fence over the weekend, will be all things to all people. If you were advising Sunak right now, what would you do, Rod Liddle?
A large tax cut for the middle band, the middle income band. I think Liz Truss's problem was that she cut the top band of income tax by too much. And indeed, it shouldn't probably have been cut at all. But a cut to the middle income band would actually get the economy moving and might just sway a few people, particularly in the Midlands. I don't know that people up here earn enough to be in that middle income tax bracket. We're still plagued with a low wage economy, but that might begin to shift public opinion a little, until, of course, Keir Starmer says, well, yeah, we think that's right as well.
Well, thank you so much,
Thanks,
Rod Liddle,
mate.
as always. Thanks for joining us this morning.